Discretion has a quiet power that often goes unnoticed in a world hungry for instant access and open book transparency. When we choose to keep parts of our lives private, we're doing something profoundly protective for our inner peace. This isn't about secrecy or isolation, it's about creating a safe space within ourselves. A refuge where our emotions, thoughts, and experiences can settle and take root without the influence of outside voices. When we share everything, we invite others' perceptions, judgments, and energies into our personal lives, and while some of that input may be well-intentioned, it can still disrupt our equilibrium. This simple act of discretion helps us draw a line, a protective boundary around our inner world. It's a reminder that not every moment, struggle, or joy needs to be shared or explained. This boundary allows us to process things fully, without the noise or opinions that often come with open disclosure. Our inner peace is a precious thing, and it thrives in spaces free from the weight of expectation, judgment, or unsolicited advice. Discretion creates these spaces. It grants us the quiet to explore our own thoughts and feelings, to reflect on life's changes and challenges at our own pace. In the absence of external scrutiny, we can engage with our experiences more intimately, understanding them on our terms and gaining clarity that's authentic and undistorted. Holding back also shields us from the kind of emotional exhaustion that comes from oversharing. Constantly explaining or justifying our choices to others can drain us, sapping energy that we could use to nurture our passions, pursue our goals, or simply rest. When we don't feel obligated to share every detail, we conserve that mental and emotional energy. We can redirect it toward what genuinely matters to us, toward the people and projects that enrich our lives. At its core, discretion allows us to retain a piece of ourselves that is untouched, a space that belongs entirely to us. It's a place where we can go to find clarity, a grounding reminder of who we are beyond the expectations of others. In choosing discretion, we are essentially choosing to prioritize our well-being. We're making a conscious decision to protect our inner peace and honor the parts of our lives that need care and quiet. Sharing selectively is an act of self-respect. It's a way of saying, my story matters and I will be mindful about who gets to be part of it. Our life stories are composed of moments that have shaped us, that carry weight, meaning, and sometimes even pain. They are not just tales to be told, they are fragments of who we are and how we became that way. By choosing to share only with those who have shown genuine care and trustworthiness, we honor the importance of those moments. We're showing respect to the experiences that have defined us, acknowledging that they are not to be handed over casually or shared without intention. Selective sharing is also a way of creating a safe space for our own growth. When we share too freely, we risk exposing ourselves to opinions and judgments that may distort how we view our own journey. We may start to see our experiences through the lens of other people's perceptions rather than as they genuinely feel to us. But when we share thoughtfully, we're preserving the purity of our story. We're allowing ourselves to process it without interference, to sit with our own feelings and perspectives. This kind of careful sharing protects the integrity of our journey, keeping it aligned with our truth. There's also an element of trust involved. By sharing selectively, we're extending a level of trust to the people we choose to open up to, acknowledging that they've shown themselves to be safe places for our story. We're saying, you've earned a place in my life where I feel I can be seen and heard without fear. This trust deepens relationships in a meaningful way. Rather than sharing indiscriminately, we're choosing to create connections built on mutual respect and understanding. And in doing so, we're ensuring that the people who know our story are the ones who genuinely care, who listen without judgment, and who honor the significance of what we're sharing. When we honor our story by choosing what to share and with whom, we also allow space for mystery and dignity. Not every experience we go through needs to be public knowledge. Some things are meant to be held close, cherished in private, or shared only with those who truly matter. This choice to keep certain things sacred is not about being guarded or closed off. It's about recognizing the value of our own lives. It's about acknowledging that our journey is worth preserving, that we don't owe our whole selves to anyone and everyone who asks. By doing so, we're not hiding, we're honoring the significance of what we've been through. Finally, selective sharing reminds us that we are the authors of our story. We hold the pen. We choose the chapters we want others to read, and we decide when, how, and with whom we share them. This empowers us to stay connected to our own narrative without letting it become overly influenced by outside voices. When we share with intention, we're not only honoring our past, but also nurturing our present and future selves, allowing our story to unfold naturally and with care. Boundaries are essential to building and maintaining healthy relationships because they define the space where we end and others begin. They're not meant to push people away. Instead, they create clear guidelines that allow us to engage with others in a way that feels safe, respectful, and empowering. Healthy boundaries honor who we are by protecting our needs, values, and personal well-being. When we communicate these boundaries, we're showing others how to interact with us in a way that respects our individuality, creating a space where genuine connection can thrive. Setting boundaries allows us to bring our whole selves into relationships without feeling overwhelmed or compromised. When we know where our limits are, we can give of ourselves freely without fear of being taken advantage of, exhausted, or overlooked. Boundaries help us avoid resentment and burnout by making it clear what we're comfortable with and what we're not. This clarity benefits both us and the people we care about because it prevents misunderstandings and sets the stage for honest, open communication. In this way, boundaries act as a kind of emotional buffer, protecting our energy and allowing us to be present in relationships from a place of authenticity and self-respect. Boundaries also encourage mutual respect. When we set boundaries, we're not only teaching others how to treat us, we're also showing that we respect them enough to communicate openly. Clear boundaries invite others to understand us better, to see where we draw the line and why. This openness fosters a relationship built on trust and respect because both parties know what to expect from each other. In turn, the people in our lives are more likely to feel comfortable setting their own boundaries, creating a dynamic where everyone's needs are acknowledged and valued. It becomes a reciprocal exchange, each person honoring the other's boundaries and finding security in that mutual respect. Healthy boundaries are particularly crucial in intimate relationships, where the closeness and vulnerability involved can sometimes blur the lines between where one person's needs end and another's begin. In these close relationships, boundaries help maintain a sense of individuality, preventing codependence and allowing both people to flourish as individuals within the relationship. They remind us that it's okay and necessary to have our own space, thoughts, and priorities, even when we're deeply connected to someone else. Rather than creating distance, boundaries in intimate relationships help partners support each other's growth and well-being, fostering a relationship that's balanced and nurturing. Boundaries also protect us from toxic dynamics. In relationships where there may be manipulation, disrespect, or unbalanced power, boundaries serve as a line of defense. They empower us to assert what's acceptable and what isn't, giving us the confidence to step back or disengage when our well-being is threatened. This is particularly important with people who may not respect our autonomy or who try to take advantage of our kindness. Boundaries give us the courage to prioritize ourselves and to recognize that we deserve to be in relationships where respect is mutual and kindness is genuine. Moreover, boundaries teach us self-care. By identifying and expressing what we need, we're taking responsibility for our own emotional health rather than expecting others to guess or provide it for us. Boundaries remind us that we are in charge of our happiness and that we have the right to protect it. When we practice setting boundaries, we're not only reinforcing our self-worth, but also cultivating the tools to manage stress, nurture our mental health, and prevent emotional exhaustion. In this way, boundaries are a form of self-compassion, reminding us that it's okay to put our well-being first. At their core, boundaries are an expression of self-love, showing that we value ourselves enough to ask for what we need. They help us move through relationships with clarity and respect, building connections that honor both ourselves and the people in our lives. Boundaries allow us to be fully engaged without losing sight of who we are, providing a foundation for healthy, balanced, and lasting relationships. Vulnerability is one of the most powerful ways to connect with others, but it's also deeply personal, and it requires a level of trust that not everyone earns. Being vulnerable means opening ourselves up, exposing parts of us that are tender, unguarded, and often uncertain. When we're vulnerable, we're sharing the raw, honest parts of our lives, the parts that make us human. But because these moments are so precious, we need to know that the people we open up to are truly trustworthy, that they will treat our vulnerability with care, respect, and compassion. Trust is essential because vulnerability, by its very nature, involves risk. When we let someone see the parts of us that we usually keep hidden, we're allowing them access to our hopes, fears, insecurities, and dreams. Without trust, this openness can feel frightening and even unsafe. Trust provides a foundation that lets us step into vulnerability with a sense of security, knowing that we won't be judged or taken advantage of. Trust is the assurance that our truth will be held gently, that we can share without fear of criticism or dismissal. This trust allows us to relax into our relationships, confident that our vulnerabilities won't be used against us. When we trust someone, we feel safe enough to reveal our true selves. This doesn't mean only sharing the positive or inspiring parts of our lives. It also means being open about our struggles, disappointments, and uncertainties. Vulnerability requires the belief that the person we're confiding in will still see us with kindness, that they won't think less of us because of our imperfections. In this way, trust allows us to move past superficial connections and to build bonds that are real and meaningful. When we feel trusted, we're able to lean into the relationship fully, creating a space where authenticity and compassion can flourish. On the other hand, without trust, vulnerability can lead to feelings of regret or even betrayal. When we share too much, too soon, or with someone who hasn't shown themselves to be trustworthy, we run the risk of being misunderstood, criticized, or even exploited. This kind of experience can leave lasting scars, making us hesitant to open up again in the future. It's why it's so important to gauge a person's intentions and consistency before allowing them into our inner world. Vulnerability is precious, and when we trust someone with it, we're giving them a part of ourselves. Trust is the element that ensures this gift will be honored, not misused. Trust is also built over time. It's developed through consistent actions, words, and gestures that show us someone is reliable, understanding, and compassionate. Trust grows when we see that someone listens without judgment, offers support without condition, and remains steady even when things are difficult. This kind of consistency reassures us that we're safe to be ourselves, that our vulnerabilities will be met with empathy rather than criticism. In relationships where trust is firmly rooted, vulnerability becomes less about risk and more about connection. It's a natural expression of closeness, a way of saying, I trust you with my real self. Choosing to be vulnerable with someone is an expression of trust, but it's also an invitation for them to be vulnerable in return. This mutual openness creates a bond that is both deep and resilient, one that can weather the ups and downs of life because it's rooted in honesty and trust. Vulnerability, in this sense, becomes a bridge that connects us to others in profound and transformative ways. It allows us to truly see and be seen, fostering a relationship that goes beyond appearances and dives into what it really means to be human. At its heart, vulnerability is an act of courage, and trust is what gives us the confidence to take that courageous step. When we trust someone, we're able to let go of the need to protect or guard ourselves, and we can be fully present. This presence creates a unique kind of intimacy that is grounded in truth and acceptance. In these moments of vulnerability, we realize that we don't have to face everything alone, that there are people who will stand by us, who will understand us, and who will hold space for us when we need it most. Ultimately, vulnerability with trust is transformative. It's a path to self-acceptance and deeper relationships, but only when we choose wisely whom to open up to. Trust ensures that vulnerability becomes a source of strength, not a point of weakness. When we feel safe enough to be vulnerable, we invite true connection into our lives. We cultivate relationships where we can be our whole selves, knowing that our vulnerabilities will be met with empathy and our stories will be treated with respect. In these trusted spaces, vulnerability becomes a foundation, a gift, and a gateway to love, growth, and understanding. Privacy has a profound role in fostering resilience, allowing us to navigate life's challenges with a stronger sense of self. When we choose to keep certain experiences, thoughts, or feelings private, we're creating a protected space where we can process, reflect, and rebuild without external influence. This personal sanctuary helps us handle adversity on our own terms, reinforcing our ability to cope with difficulties without relying on external validation or support. Our privacy in this way becomes a tool for self-reliance, helping us cultivate inner strength by learning to sit with and manage our own experiences. In times of struggle, there's a natural inclination to share, to seek comfort, advice, or even sympathy from others. While external support is invaluable, privacy offers a different kind of strength. By choosing to keep certain struggles to ourselves, we're not hiding or suppressing what we feel. Rather, we're allowing ourselves the space to explore those feelings privately. This private reflection enables us to understand our emotions deeply, to sit with our pain or confusion without rushing for a solution or external reassurance. In doing so, we build a quiet confidence in our ability to manage life's ups and downs, knowing that we don't always need others to validate our journey. Privacy also gives us the freedom to process our experiences without the pressure of external expectations or judgments. When we share openly, we inevitably invite others' opinions, which can sometimes cloud our judgment or create self-doubt. But in solitude, we have the clarity to assess our circumstances objectively, to identify our own beliefs and values without interference. This unfiltered space allows us to make decisions and form opinions that are truly our own, reinforcing our sense of self and our resilience. By working through challenges privately, we become less dependent on others' perspectives and more grounded in our own truths. There is also a restorative power in privacy. When we keep certain struggles to ourselves, we can take time to heal without feeling rushed or exposed. Healing is an intimate process, one that often requires patience and introspection. In private, we're free to feel vulnerable, to break down and rebuild without the scrutiny or well-meaning advice of others. This process fosters resilience because it teaches us that we have the capacity to heal from within, to find our own path to recovery. By allowing ourselves to experience pain and growth in private, we come to understand that we can endure and overcome difficulties, strengthening our belief in our own resilience. Privacy is also protective. In a world where oversharing has become common, holding back certain aspects of our lives helps us maintain control over our personal narrative. We're not giving others the power to define our experiences or dictate how we should feel. By keeping parts of our story private, we're ensuring that our sense of self isn't shaped by outside forces. This self-protection is a form of resilience, one that guards us from the potentially harmful effects of public scrutiny or unsolicited advice. In this way, privacy serves as a shield, preserving our emotional well-being and allowing us to navigate life with confidence. Furthermore, privacy fosters resilience by creating space for introspection and personal growth. When we keep certain experiences to ourselves, we have the opportunity to learn from them deeply. This self-reflection helps us identify patterns, recognize strengths, and understand areas where we can grow. By facing our challenges privately, we develop a nuanced understanding of ourselves, one that isn't influenced by others' opinions or advice. This self-awareness is a powerful tool in building resilience because it helps us respond to future challenges with greater insight and wisdom. Privacy also gives us the flexibility to adapt and change without the weight of outside expectations. When our struggles or transformations are public, we may feel pressured to maintain a certain image or to act according to others' perceptions of us. But in private, we have the freedom to explore, to try new approaches, and even to make mistakes without feeling judged. This freedom allows us to grow in authentic and self-directed ways, which is essential to building resilience. By navigating change privately, we learn to trust our own instincts and to embrace our evolving selves, knowing that our growth doesn't need to be visible to be valid. Ultimately, privacy teaches us that we have the strength within to face life's challenges on our own terms. It reinforces our ability to stand strong, to heal, and to grow without always leaning on others. By fostering a sense of independence and self-reliance, privacy nurtures resilience in a way that's quiet yet profound. It reminds us that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way, not because others have given us strength, but because we have discovered it within ourselves. In this private space, resilience becomes not just a response to adversity, but a way of life, a quiet assurance that we can face anything with dignity, courage, and inner resolve. Mystery plays a subtle yet powerful role in preserving self-respect by allowing us to retain control over how much of ourselves we reveal to others. It serves as a protective barrier that shields our inner world, ensuring that our thoughts, emotions, and personal boundaries remain intact. In a world where sharing everything has become the norm, maintaining an air of mystery is an act of honoring our individuality and preserving our dignity. It allows us to move through life without feeling the pressure to justify ourselves, to explain our every decision, or to expose our vulnerabilities unnecessarily. By holding parts of ourselves back, we maintain a sense of autonomy, safeguarding our self-respect in the process. When we are overly transparent, we risk losing our sense of control, and the balance between openness and privacy can become blurred. Sharing too much of ourselves too soon or with the wrong people can leave us feeling exposed, vulnerable, or even disrespected. This overexposure often comes with the expectation that others will understand, accept, or approve of us, but not everyone will. In these moments, our self-respect can erode. We might feel diminished, as though we've given too much of ourselves away without the reciprocal respect or appreciation that we deserve. Mystery, on the other hand, preserves our self-respect by creating a space where we are not compelled to overshare. It allows us to engage with others while still protecting the parts of ourselves that are sacred and meaningful. Having a sense of mystery around us helps create an aura of dignity. It encourages people to approach us with a certain reverence, to treat us with the care and consideration that we deserve. When we withhold certain aspects of our lives, we communicate that our inner world is not for public consumption. This mystery doesn't make us distant or inaccessible. Instead, it fosters an air of intrigue and respect. People are more likely to value us when they realize that we are not an open book for them to read at their leisure. Instead, we become a dynamic, layered person, someone who has depth, who has private thoughts and feelings that are not easily accessible. This sense of mystery invites respect because it sets boundaries around how much others are allowed to know about us. In maintaining an air of mystery, we also protect our emotional energy. When we share too freely, we risk inviting unnecessary drama or emotional burdens into our lives. People may demand more of us than we're able or willing to give, expecting us to constantly reveal, explain, or prove ourselves. This kind of constant exposure can be draining, diminishing our sense of self-worth as we feel pulled in different directions. Mystery, by contrast, allows us to conserve our emotional energy, giving us the space to connect with others meaningfully without overextending ourselves. It creates a sense of balance in our relationships where we are able to give without depleting our sense of self or feeling taken advantage of. Another way that mystery preserves self-respect is by allowing us to navigate relationships and interactions on our own terms. When we choose what to share and when to share it, we are exercising our power in relationships. We do not feel forced to meet the expectations of others or to reveal ourselves in ways that make us uncomfortable. Instead, we approach each interaction with a sense of agency, deciding how much we want to disclose and under what circumstances. This active choice reinforces our self-respect, as it highlights that we are in control of our narrative, not others. It encourages us to engage with the world from a place of strength, knowing that we are not obligated to expose every part of ourselves. Furthermore, mystery gives us the space to remain flexible and adaptable in our interactions with others. People are often drawn to mystery because it invites curiosity without the pressure of knowing everything. By keeping some things private, we create room for others to discover us over time, allowing relationships to evolve naturally rather than being rushed or forced. This approach helps to build anticipation and respect in relationships as others are drawn to us by our depth, not by our availability or the information we're constantly giving away. In this way, mystery fosters an environment where mutual respect grows organically as both parties learn to appreciate each other without feeling entitled to every detail of the other's life. In preserving self-respect, mystery also allows us to grow and evolve without being boxed in by others' perceptions or expectations. When we reveal too much about ourselves, we risk being pigeonholed or defined by others based on the information we've shared. This can lead to feeling misunderstood, misrepresented, or limited in how we express ourselves. Mystery gives us the freedom to change and adapt, to become who we need to be without others constantly holding us to past versions of ourselves. It allows us to explore different aspects of our personality, values, and experiences without fear of being judged or typecast. In maintaining an element of mystery, we are also asserting our right to evolve and to shape our own identity, free from the constraints of how others view us. Finally, mystery strengthens our sense of self because it reinforces the idea that not everything about us is available for public consumption. It reminds us that our worth is not contingent on how much we give or reveal to others. We are not defined by what others know about us, but by who we are in our most authentic, private moments. This self-assurance, born of mystery, preserves our self-respect because it acknowledges that we are valuable simply by being who we are not by constantly explaining, justifying, or oversharing. We honor ourselves when we recognize the worth of keeping certain parts of our lives private, treating our inner world with the reverence it deserves. In the end, mystery allows us to engage with the world on our own terms, creating relationships that are grounded in respect and authenticity. It preserves our sense of dignity by reminding us that we are not obligated to share everything, that our private thoughts, feelings, and experiences are valuable and sacred. Through mystery, we maintain the respect of others while safeguarding our own self-respect, ensuring that we remain whole, independent, and centered as we navigate life's challenges and opportunities. Trust is one of the most foundational aspects of any meaningful relationship, whether personal or professional. Yet trust is not something that can be given freely, nor should it be. Trust is something that must be earned, built over time through consistent actions, integrity, and mutual respect. It is not a gift that can be handed out indiscriminately. Instead, it is a treasure that must be carefully cultivated through shared experiences, reliability, and an unwavering commitment to honesty. The act of giving trust freely is often rooted in the desire for connection or the hope that someone will live up to our expectations. However, this kind of blind trust can set us up for disappointment or even betrayal. Trust given too easily opens the door to potential harm, as we might overlook red flags or ignore the need to observe someone's behavior over time. Trust, like any valuable resource, requires a careful assessment, one that involves evaluating whether a person has demonstrated the qualities that are necessary to build a strong foundation of reliability and mutual respect. Trust is earned through consistent, reliable actions over time. Words, no matter how sincere or eloquent, are never enough to build a lasting trust. Actions speak louder than words because they reveal the true character of a person. Anyone can say the right things or promise to be trustworthy, but it is only through repeated actions that trust begins to solidify. Trust grows when someone shows again and again that they can be counted on, that they will keep their word, and that they will honor the commitments they've made. This consistency is what builds the foundation for trust. It's not the occasional grand gesture, but the everyday, reliable actions that prove a person's dependability. Moreover, trust is earned by showing vulnerability and authenticity. To truly build trust with others, we must be open and honest with them about who we are, what we value, and what we need. When we show up authentically, we invite others to do the same. This kind of openness is not about oversharing or giving away too much too soon, but rather about being genuine in our interactions, offering a clear and honest reflection of ourselves. Trust grows when others see that we are consistent in our words and actions, and that we are not hiding behind a facade. Vulnerability is a risk, but it is also a powerful tool for earning trust because it demonstrates our willingness to be real, to show who we truly are. It's also important to recognize that trust is built on mutual respect. Respect is the foundation of all healthy relationships, and it goes hand in hand with trust. To trust someone, we must first believe that they respect us, that they honor our boundaries, and that they value our well-being. Respecting others' boundaries, needs, and values is a way of showing that we understand the importance of their autonomy and that we are not seeking to control or manipulate them. When trust is built on respect, it allows both parties to feel safe and valued, knowing that the other person is acting in good faith and with consideration for their needs. Trust is also tested in times of conflict or adversity. How someone responds when things get tough is often the truest indicator of their reliability. When the going gets rough, it's easy to say all the right things, but it's much harder to show up and act with integrity when there is something at stake. Trust is earned in those moments when someone stands by their commitments, takes responsibility for their actions, and works to resolve issues with honesty and transparency. When someone proves their reliability in difficult circumstances, trust deepens because it reveals that they are not just trustworthy when it's convenient, but in all circumstances. Additionally, trust is not static. It is not something that is simply given once and then expected to remain intact forever. Trust must be nurtured and maintained over time. Just as it is earned through consistent behavior, it can be lost or eroded through neglect, dishonesty, or betrayal. Once trust is broken, it can take significant effort to rebuild, and in some cases, it may never fully return. Rebuilding trust requires a commitment to change, an acknowledgement of the harm caused, and a dedication to proving through actions that the broken trust can be restored. In this way, trust is fragile and must be treated with care and respect. Finally, trust is something that we give to those who have demonstrated that they have our best interests at heart. Trust is earned not just through consistency, but also through empathy and understanding. We trust people who show that they care about us, who listen to us, who support us, and who are willing to invest in our well-being. When we feel seen, heard, and respected, trust is naturally fostered because we know that the other person values us and is invested in our success and happiness. This reciprocal relationship creates an environment where trust can thrive, where both people can feel secure in the knowledge that the other is acting with integrity and care. In the end, trust is not something to be given freely, nor is it something that can be demanded. It must be earned, consistently demonstrated, and built through mutual respect, integrity, and reliability. Trust grows over time, nurtured through genuine, thoughtful actions that show the depth of one's character. It is a reflection of the way we show up for others, the way we handle our word, and the way we interact with the world. When trust is earned, it creates a solid foundation for relationships, allowing both parties to feel secure, valued, and understood. It's the quiet strength that holds relationships together, providing a sense of safety and connection that is essential for growth, healing, and mutual respect. Privacy plays a crucial role in conserving our energy by protecting our mental, emotional, and physical resources. In an increasingly connected world where the boundaries between personal and public life are often blurred, the act of keeping certain aspects of ourselves private is a powerful form of self-preservation. When we share everything with others or allow every aspect of our life to be exposed, we risk overextending ourselves, depleting our emotional reserves, and losing sight of our own needs. By maintaining a healthy level of privacy, we are able to preserve our energy, focus on what truly matters, and engage with the world from a place of strength rather than depletion. When we are constantly giving away our thoughts, feelings, and experiences to others, we can quickly feel drained. Every conversation, every social interaction, every piece of information shared requires an emotional investment. This energy is not limitless, it is finite. Privacy helps us retain that energy by offering us the space to manage our emotions and thoughts without the expectation of constant sharing or validation from others. In a society that often prioritizes openness and vulnerability, choosing to keep some aspects of our lives private is not a rejection of connection, but an intentional act of protecting our energy. It is a way of honoring our emotional boundaries and understanding that we do not have to share everything to be understood or valued. When we are not constantly open with others, we create a mental space where we can process and reflect without the influence of external opinions. This inner space allows us to gather our thoughts, regain our emotional balance, and understand our feelings more clearly. It is in this private space that we can truly recharge, taking the time to heal, reflect, and rebuild without the pressure of external expectations. Without the noise of others' thoughts, judgments, and opinions, we can focus inward, recalibrate, and restore our emotional equilibrium. This act of conserving our energy helps us become more resilient, more self-aware, and more attuned to our own needs. Furthermore, privacy allows us to engage with the world in a more intentional and conscious way. When we are constantly sharing or seeking validation, we may start to lose sight of our own intentions and desires. Privacy gives us the opportunity to check in with ourselves, to assess whether our actions are aligned with our values and priorities. It creates a pause, a moment of reflection before we engage, allowing us to conserve our energy by being more selective in how we invest it. This mindfulness helps us avoid emotional burnout and makes our interactions with others more meaningful, because we are engaging with purpose, not out of obligation or the need to appease others. Privacy also protects us from unnecessary emotional contagion. In a world where we are constantly exposed to the emotions and experiences of others, it can be easy to take on their energy, whether it is positive or negative. This emotional contagion can drain our own reserves and leave us feeling overwhelmed. By maintaining privacy in certain aspects of our lives, we limit the amount of emotional exposure we have to others' feelings and experiences. This creates a buffer, allowing us to protect our emotional energy and avoid being unduly influenced by the emotional states of those around us. It helps us maintain a sense of clarity, keeping our emotional energy focused on our own needs rather than the emotional currents of the world. In addition, privacy allows us to set boundaries that are necessary for preserving our energy. Without clear boundaries, it becomes difficult to protect our time, space, and emotional well-being. When we are constantly sharing or giving, it can feel as though there are no boundaries between us and others, and this lack of distinction can lead to depletion. Privacy helps us draw the line, signaling to others that we are not always available for their emotional demands, requests, or opinions. It gives us the freedom to say no when necessary, to retreat into our own space, and to replenish ourselves. By setting these boundaries, we prevent ourselves from becoming overwhelmed and burnt out, allowing us to conserve the energy that we need to thrive. Privacy also supports our need for solitude, which is essential for emotional and mental rejuvenation. Solitude gives us the opportunity to step back from the world, to disconnect from the constant demands of others, and to be fully present with ourselves. It is in solitude that we can truly recharge, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. In a world that constantly demands our attention, privacy offers us the sanctuary to reclaim our sense of self, to clear our minds, and to restore our vitality. Without the constant need to engage, to share, or to explain ourselves, we create the space necessary for deep rest and reflection. This energy conservation allows us to approach life's challenges with clarity and resilience, knowing that we have the strength to face whatever comes our way. Moreover, privacy fosters creativity and productivity by reducing distractions. When we share too much, we may become distracted by others' opinions, judgments, or expectations. This can hinder our ability to focus on our own work or personal growth. Privacy helps us protect the mental space required for deep thought, creativity, and focus. By keeping certain aspects of our lives private, we limit the external noise that can pull us away from our goals and aspirations. This focused energy enables us to be more productive and to accomplish tasks with greater efficiency, as we are not constantly expending energy on things that don't serve our personal development. Finally, privacy allows us to cultivate a deeper sense of self-respect. When we choose to protect certain aspects of our lives, we are signaling to ourselves that our time, energy, and emotional resources are valuable. It is an act of self-love and self-care, recognizing that we do not need to justify or explain ourselves to anyone. We are worthy of having private spaces in our lives that are sacred and off limits to others. This self-respect is essential for conserving our energy, because it helps us avoid situations or relationships that drain us. By valuing our privacy, we are valuing ourselves, and in turn, we preserve the energy that is necessary for our well-being. In conclusion, privacy is a vital tool for conserving our energy in a world that often demands constant connection and openness. It helps us protect our emotional, mental, and physical resources by allowing us to maintain boundaries, engage with the world on our own terms, and prioritize our well-being. By keeping certain aspects of our lives private, we preserve our energy for the things that truly matter, whether it is for our personal growth, creative endeavors, or meaningful relationships. Privacy is not about isolation or secrecy, but about protecting the sacred space that allows us to recharge, heal, and thrive. Through privacy, we safeguard our energy, and in doing so, ensure that we are able to show up as our best selves in the world. Your worth is not determined by the validation of others. It is a deeply personal and intrinsic truth that cannot be measured by external opinions or accolades. The truth is, we often live in a world that pressures us to seek approval from others, to constantly perform in ways that garner praise, recognition, or admiration. From social media to the workplace, from family dynamics to friendships, we are frequently reminded, whether overtly or subtly, that our value lies in how others perceive us. However, this perspective is fundamentally flawed, and embracing the truth that your worth is not tied to external validation is essential for living a fulfilling and authentic life. When we tie our self-worth to external validation, we are essentially giving away control of our identity. We become dependent on the opinions of others to feel good about ourselves, and this dependency can create a fragile sense of self. If others approve of us, we feel validated. If they disapprove or criticize us, we feel diminished. This constant cycle of seeking validation can lead to anxiety, insecurity, and a perpetual need to prove ourselves. The problem with this is that we cannot control how others perceive us, nor should we. Every person brings their own biases, experiences, and assumptions into their judgments. So to live our lives chasing their validation is to set ourselves up for disappointment, because their opinions are ever-changing and unreliable. True self-worth comes from within. It is grounded in a deep understanding and acceptance of who we are, independent of others' approval or recognition. When we recognize that our value is intrinsic, that it is not contingent on whether or not we are acknowledged, praised, or loved by others, we begin to free ourselves from the constant pressure to seek external validation. Instead of constantly trying to live up to someone else's expectations, we are able to live in alignment with our own values and beliefs. This shift in perspective allows us to engage with the world from a place of authenticity and self-assurance, no longer depending on others to define our worth. The need for validation can stem from a place of insecurity or fear of being rejected, fear of not being enough, or fear of being overlooked. These fears are natural and part of being human, but they can also be incredibly limiting. When we allow these fears to drive our actions, we often end up living for the approval of others, compromising our true selves in the process. We might say or do things simply to gain favor, to be liked, or to fit in, even if those actions are not aligned with our authentic desires or values. Over time, this can lead to a disconnect between who we truly are and who we present ourselves to be. The more we seek validation, the more we lose sight of our true selves. Moreover, when we are constantly looking for validation from others, we may overlook the most important source of approval ourselves. We have the power to determine our worth based on our own standards, not the fluctuating standards of the people around us. By shifting the focus inward, we can begin to acknowledge our own accomplishments, celebrate our own uniqueness, and honor our own worth, regardless of how others see us. This internal validation is far more stable and sustainable because it comes from a place of self-respect and self-love, not from external factors that are beyond our control. Additionally, when we stop seeking validation, we create space for genuine, unconditional relationships. If we are always trying to prove ourselves or seeking approval, we may attract relationships that are based on surface-level interactions or conditional acceptance. People may only like us for the roles we play, the things we do, or the image we project. When we stop seeking validation, we are free to be our authentic selves, and this authenticity attracts people who value us for who we truly are, not for what we can do for them or how they perceive us. This shift leads to deeper, more meaningful connections built on mutual respect, trust, and understanding rather than on superficial admiration or approval. Living without the constant need for validation also leads to greater resilience. When we no longer rely on others to affirm our worth, we become more self-sufficient and better able to navigate the ups and downs of life. We stop internalizing criticism and begin to see it for what it truly is: another person's opinion, not a reflection of our inherent worth. Without the weight of others' judgments, we are freer to pursue our goals, take risks, and grow without fear of rejection or failure. This freedom allows us to be more authentic in our choices and to stay grounded in our values, regardless of external circumstances. Another profound benefit of disengaging from the need for validation is the freedom it offers in terms of self-expression. When we are constantly concerned with how others perceive us, we may limit ourselves, holding back our true thoughts, ideas, and creativity in order to avoid judgment or criticism. The fear of not being accepted or understood can prevent us from fully expressing who we are. However, when we are no longer seeking validation, we are liberated to be true to ourselves, to share our authentic voice, and to pursue our passions without fear of rejection. This freedom is essential for creativity and personal growth because it allows us to engage in life with boldness and confidence, knowing that our worth does not depend on external approval. In the long run, recognizing that your worth is not tied to validation helps you build a more stable and fulfilling life. You are no longer bound by the ever-shifting standards and opinions of others. You are free to define your own success, your own happiness, and your own sense of self. This shift allows you to embrace your imperfections, accept your flaws, and honor your strengths without needing others to validate them. You come to understand that you are enough just as you are and that your value is inherent, unshakable, and independent of the external factors that may come and go throughout your life. When we embrace the truth that our worth is not determined by validation, we liberate ourselves from the need to constantly prove ourselves to others. We free ourselves to live authentically, to pursue what truly matters to us, and to form connections based on real, unconditional love and respect. The journey of recognizing and embodying this truth is one of profound self-discovery and empowerment. It's an invitation to step into a life where we no longer measure our worth by how others see us, but by how we see and value ourselves. It is only in this space of self-acceptance that we can truly experience the fullness of who we are and all that we are capable of becoming. Privacy is not simply a matter of keeping things secret or hidden. It is an act of self-love, a conscious decision to protect and preserve the most intimate parts of our lives. In a world that constantly encourages openness and the sharing of every detail, from personal milestones to every fleeting thought, privacy offers us a sacred space where we can be ourselves without the pressure of judgment or expectation. To choose privacy is to honor our own need for boundaries, to respect our emotional well-being, and to preserve our mental and physical energy. It is a declaration that we are worthy of time and space to nurture our inner world without intrusion. When we practice privacy, we are asserting our right to decide what we share, when we share it, and with whom. This act of boundary setting is vital for maintaining a sense of autonomy and self-respect. In a society that often encourages oversharing, especially in the digital realm, there is immense value in recognizing that not everything needs to be disclosed. Our thoughts, feelings, and experiences are ours to manage and protect. Privacy allows us to maintain control over how much of ourselves we reveal, creating a space in which we can feel safe and secure, free from the expectations or demands of others. In many ways, privacy is a form of self-preservation. It provides us with a space to retreat, recharge, and heal without feeling exposed or vulnerable. Life can be demanding, and our emotional reserves can become drained by constant interaction and the pressure to perform. When we allow ourselves the gift of privacy, we create an opportunity for emotional regeneration. It is a time to reflect, to process experiences, and to nurture our sense of self without the influence of others' opinions or judgments. In doing so, we ensure that we do not become depleted by the noise of the outside world and that we preserve our energy for the things that truly matter to us. Furthermore, privacy fosters a deep sense of respect for ourselves. By choosing to keep certain aspects of our lives private, we are sending a message that we value our thoughts, emotions, and experiences enough to protect them. We are acknowledging that we do not need external validation to feel worthy, and that our inner world deserves the same respect and attention as our outward expressions. In a world that often prioritizes visibility and external achievements, privacy offers us the chance to recognize the value of our internal experiences and to protect them from unnecessary scrutiny. This act of self-respect is essential for cultivating a healthy relationship with ourselves, one where we are not constantly seeking external affirmation or approval. Privacy also allows us to cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections with others. When we share only parts of ourselves, we invite others to engage with us in more intentional ways. Relationships built on mutual respect for privacy are often more authentic because they are not based on superficial exchanges or the need for constant validation. Instead, they allow both parties to connect with one another on a deeper level, free from the pressure of oversharing or performing for approval. Privacy creates space for true intimacy, where both individuals feel comfortable being their authentic selves without the fear of judgment. In this way, privacy is not about isolation, but about creating the conditions for more genuine and fulfilling connections. The act of embracing privacy also empowers us to be more discerning about who we allow into our personal space. Not everyone deserves access to our most intimate thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Privacy helps us protect ourselves from those who may not honor our boundaries or who may seek to exploit our vulnerabilities. When we maintain a sense of privacy, we safeguard our emotional well-being and ensure that we are not exposed to unnecessary harm or manipulation. We become more selective about the people we allow to influence us, and this selective engagement ensures that our energy and emotions are invested in relationships that are nurturing, supportive, and respectful. Additionally, privacy enables us to establish and maintain our emotional boundaries. Without these boundaries, it is easy to become overwhelmed by the emotional demands of others, especially in a world that often asks us to be available at all times. Privacy allows us to protect our emotional space, enabling us to step back when needed and recharge. It is through these boundaries that we can prioritize our own needs and ensure that we are not overextending ourselves. Without privacy, we may find ourselves constantly giving to others, neglecting our own needs in the process. By choosing privacy, we ensure that we can preserve our emotional energy for ourselves and for the people who truly deserve it. In addition to emotional well-being, privacy also supports our mental health. Constant exposure to the opinions, judgments, and expectations of others can be mentally exhausting. When we choose to keep certain aspects of our lives private, we create a mental sanctuary where we can clear our minds and reflect without the intrusion of external noise. Privacy allows us to think deeply, process our emotions, and make decisions without the pressure of others' influences. It gives us the space to be alone with our thoughts, to make sense of our experiences, and to find clarity without feeling the need to explain ourselves or seek validation from others. This mental space is vital for maintaining a sense of mental equilibrium, as it helps us separate our own thoughts from the often overwhelming tide of external opinions. Moreover, privacy enhances our ability to be creative and productive. When we are constantly sharing our ideas and thoughts with others, we may feel discouraged or distracted by their feedback, whether positive or negative. Privacy allows us to develop our ideas and projects without external influence, fostering a space where we can freely explore our creativity. It gives us the freedom to take risks, to make mistakes, and to experiment without fear of judgment. This protected space encourages innovation, as we can think without limits, explore without constraints, and create without hesitation. Privacy, in this sense, becomes a fertile ground for growth and self-expression. Lastly, privacy serves as a reminder that we are worthy of care, attention, and respect not just from others, but from ourselves. In choosing privacy, we affirm that we are deserving of a space that is our own, a sanctuary where we can nurture our physical, emotional, and mental health. It is an expression of self-love that tells us we do not need to be constantly exposed or vulnerable to feel valuable or significant. Privacy is an acknowledgement that we are enough as we are, that we deserve to be cherished for our inner qualities, not just for our outward expressions or the way we are perceived by others. In conclusion, privacy is a vital act of self-love. It is a conscious choice to protect our emotional, mental, and physical well-being by establishing boundaries that preserve our energy, creativity, and sense of self. In a world that often encourages oversharing and constant connectivity, privacy offers us a refuge where we can be ourselves, recharge, and reflect without the pressure of external expectations. By embracing privacy, we affirm our worth and demonstrate a deep respect for who we are and what we need. It is not about isolation or secrecy, but about honoring the sacredness of our inner world and allowing ourselves the space to grow, heal, and thrive. Privacy is an essential practice in the art of self-care, and it is a powerful way to nurture and protect our most precious resource selves. Privacy is not about hiding who we are, but about protecting the essence of who we are. It is an act of self-love and self-respect, a conscious choice to safeguard our inner peace, creativity, and emotional well-being. By embracing privacy, we honor our own needs, set healthy boundaries, and create space to nurture our true selves without the constant pressure of external influence or validation. It empowers us to build stronger, more authentic connections with others and fosters a sense of self-worth that is not contingent on the approval of others. Privacy is a gift we give ourselves, one that allows us to live more freely, confidently, and authentically. It reminds us that we are worthy of space, time, and energy to grow, heal, and thrive. In a world that often demands openness and transparency, choosing privacy is a radical act of love, a declaration that we are enough just as we are, and that we deserve the right to protect the sacred parts of ourselves that make us whole.